Hello my friends. So if you saw my earlier video, you saw the boat skins that I created, and they worked super well for making the smaller boat. But today I'm going to take it up a notch and I'm going to build a larger boat. Again, I'm going to use a pop bottle, but this one's going to be a 2 liter. I think it's actually a 2.5 liter from the dollar store. But I'm going to make the bigger ship, the ghost ship, for my main adventure. Once the players get on the smaller boats, they have a few skirmish battles, maybe fight a monster in the sea or something, they'll get out to the ghost ship. So we're going to make that today using the same skins that I made before. It's going to be awesome, and the final results will absolutely blow you away. I was stunned at how good this came out. So stay tuned to the end so that you can see the final. And then I have a second video that's going to follow this up on the painting of the ghost ship. And I had to break it up because they were just, the video, I had so much good video and I didn't want to just cram it all together and try and make it into one smaller video. So there's 2 good sized videos, but I think if you watch to the end, you're really going to love the results that I've gotten, and you can get it too. So these are the skins I made, and it was really easy. I just put the caulk onto my cutting mat, spread them out with my hands, make sure that you have a lot of moisture, a lot of water to be able to spread them out and it doesn't stick everywhere. And then I just rolled the pattern onto them. It was a wooden floor pattern. Yeah, so for this one, it's going to be the same process. We're going to knock that top off, and then we're going to cut it in half. This one's a little bit harder to cut in half at the bottom. I used some metal shears that I happen to have in the garage, but you're going to need something really healthy to get through that really thicker plastic. So think on that in advance. Also, I didn't use the knife, the razor blade knife, to cut it in half because it's a little bit sloppy. It's so much easier if you just use scissors to cut down the sides, and then you know, whatever you need to do to get through that thick stuff at the end. But yeah, same process, super easy. So yeah, this is the thick part I was talking about, and these are some healthy cutting shears, and I'm having a hell of a time getting through, so you might need a saw blade or something to actually get through this. Yeah, I'm really not sure what possessed me to use the razor blade knife on this part. After I just said the scissors were so much easier, I did struggle through. My cut was uneven. However, you know, it really doesn't matter that much. Once I get it butterflied and I attach the ends together, I can kind of work it to where it becomes even in the end. Once I get mine put together, I add a little bit of masking tape just to hold it until I got a chance to glue it. And once it's glued, you know, you can kind of work with it a little bit and shape the front end, and it came out great. As you can see, I'm using my favorite little free items, the lottery scratch coins that you find at any of your retailers that sell the lottery scratch tickets. They make excellent bases for a lot of things. So I learned a lot of lessons with this build, and one of the lessons I learned first was that I couldn't use my really nice glue gun because it had such a high temperature that the glue would warp and melt the plastic. So you'll notice in this video I'm using a smaller craft gun, not even close to the same temperature, and so I was able to use that in place of the more expensive, the better glue gun, in my opinion, just because it was the right tool for the job. So in order to get the deck for my ghost ship, I just traced out the pattern of the boat onto some dollar store foam board, and then I cut that out. I did not roll the pattern into it because I wanted to use a skin on the top, so that I could get a little bit more texture out of it and not just a really smooth, nice flat deck, you know what I mean? Once I had the shape cut out and trimmed to where it fit in nicely, I just added a little bit of glue, tacked it down just under the lip. So I left about 1/4 of an inch of the lip of the bottle up over the edge of the paper for the plank. And that's just because I wanted to put a railing around it when I was done, and I didn't want it to be flat on top of the deck. Once I had the deck secured, then I wanted to work on the skins and get the outside skins done. If you'll notice in this actual clip, the back side of the skins have a lot of black coloring. They look discolored, like they're dirty or something. They actually, when I pulled them off of my mat, they actually pulled up all the old paint and stuff that was stuck onto the mat for who knows how long, how many years. But because it was on the back side, nobody's going to be able to see it. I didn't find it to be a big deal, and actually I think it was kind of helpful. It helps me clean off my cutting surface, so it was kind of a twofer as far as I'm concerned. So now I'm just gluing the skins in the appropriate areas where they go, and then when I come back, I'm gonna put some like beauty strips, a few planks to cover over the seams, and it'll make it look a little bit nicer. You won't have such jagged edges and stuff. Adds a lot of character to the boat. So for this part, I really tried to maximize my use of the holes in the skins to make some really great shapes on the boat and to give it a lot more character. I think once you see all of them on, you'll see what I mean, but I tried to maximize the effect of those holes, and I think it really gave it a really awesome worm-eaten wood look. So while I'm getting the rest of these skins glued on and everything, I think now would be a good time for me to say thank you for watching my video. I appreciate your support. If you would kindly smash that like button and maybe share with your friends who might be interested in this kind of stuff, war gamers, D&D gamers, anything like that. I would certainly appreciate it. And if you think I've done enough to earn it, I would really appreciate your subscription. And let me just say what a joy it was to work with these skins. It made it really easy to use the pop bottle as the main structure for the ship. I have tried it with the foam board by itself, and the only way I could really get it to come out the way I wanted is to actually cut each individual plank and texture each individual plank separately. It was super tedious, took forever. These things are so fast to get on and give immediate texture. You can make a ton of them in advance and just have them laying around for when you're ready for them. It doesn't have to be ships. It could be you're making a saloon or a tavern or an inn or anything that has a wooden structure or wooden floor. These things are amazing. And one of the things that I did, like I said, is I pulled some of these up a little bit early before they were dry, and I stretched them a little to get those holes. So if you want more of a ghostly or a grim dark appearance, that's how you get it. So at this point, the skins are going on nicely, everything is looking good. I've got a nice flat playable surface, but I kind of want to add a little bit more. I'm going to add a captain's cabin with an upper deck part where, you know, someone would be standing to steer the ship or something like that. But I'm going to have it as, you know, dilapidated as I can get. So once I get done with the skins and everything, I'm going to start creating that. So So I'm wrapping up the back end here, and I'm gonna get this glued in and then have the sides wrap around it. And I just love the way that this latex caulk just kind of fits and flows into those grooves, because I love the way the pop bottle is shaped in the rear. It makes a great boat shape. I needed a few strips of this material so that I could make some beauty strips to kind of clean up some of the jagged edges and where, you know, I've got a seam that doesn't look right, or if I'm trying to actually shape. But for right now, I'm going to shape the front end with it and cover up some of those unsightly seams on both sides where the skins are meshing in the front. I feel like I need to reinforce how absolutely easy it was working with this material. It really was just glue and go with everything. It came together so fast and it was so easy to work with. I recommend anybody who's thinking about it, definitely just give it a try. It works amazing. I can't wait to start skinning other things. I'm certain that I'm getting ready to do a wizard spire, so you might want to subscribe and turn on notifications for that. I'm going to do a really cool wizard spire. I want to do kind of one of those cockeyed leaning kind of things with maybe a telescope coming out of the top, but we'll see as we get closer to that one. But stay tuned for that. And again, this stuff, amazing to work with. You should definitely try this. This part just adds so much texture to the deck. I love the fact that it doesn't reach from all the way from one side to the other, and that there's going to be gaps. Later on I'll paint black in there so that it really shows the recesses in the depths and the shrinkage of the boards over time, whether it's through being eaten by insects or what have you. It really has a really great effect once I get it painted and stuff, and you'll see that later in the next video. I went ahead and cut out the pieces I was going to need for the general shape of the back of the boat for the captain's cabin. So now I'm just kind of cutting out a door. I wanted to put a little window plate in it. It's going to be dirty and dusty all over, but I'm going to put it in there anyway, just for a little bit of more aesthetics. Once it's painted, it'll help make it stand out and stuff. But of course, I'm going to make it dilapidated and as beat down as I can, so that it can show the age and weathering that it's supposed to have. You'll notice as I'm making this how crisp and clean and you know, beautiful it looks, pristine. One of the tricks that I'm going to use to help age it is going to be during the spray painting process. Spray paint plays hell on these little foam boards. It'll absolutely eat them and shrink them down to nothing. So I'm going to selectively apply some Mod Podge, and I'm going to get it to work selectively in the manner that I want it to work in, and you'll see it has an immediate aging effect on this styrofoam. And so even though it looks nice and pristine right now, the final product will be nothing like this. Since I'm going to end up adding a railing later on to cover up a lot of this stuff, the placement of the captain's cabin doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Again, you know, once you get those strips running around it, it'll cover up all of those blemishes, all of those issues. So just do the best you can, get it centered as best you can, and then give it a good crush down once you get done. That'll help with the shaping and the weathering of it. Another trick that I'm using for aging and weathering is I'm taking my glue gun and I'm actually gouging out irregular patterns and holes in the foam board. If you let your glue gun do the work, it'll just slide right through it. And then take a little bit of time, make sure that they're irregular. You don't want to have a bunch of patterns on there that repeat or something like that if you're looking for a true aged look, weathered look. When I first started doing this cabin, I was just going to use a piece of the foam board from the dollar store with the pattern of the wood grain on it for the roof. But after seeing this one particular piece with all of the character that it has, all of the holes and everything, I thought, you know, instead of having another playable area up top, I would just have a dilapidated roof that is kind of caved in on the room below, and have debris below that. And this piece, the way that it flows and bends, it looks amazing in the final product. I am so happy I did not put the foam board roof on this. This came out so much better than I could have ever expected. This piece alone just kind of made a lot of the visual appeal of this ghost ship. This roof reminds me of the dilapidated shacks that I used to see out on the bayou down in Mississippi from where I'm from. You know, the shacks would be, the roofs would be caved in, but the wood kind of flows over time, and with, you know, it gets heavy with all the rains and everything, and it kind of bends and flows just like this one does when I'm done with it. I mean, it looks eerily similar. I'm also going to add a few extra pieces and bits here and there for the broken parts of the roof, and then I'm going to add some debris down below where some would have fallen when the roof caved in. I'm just making a nice little ladder that will go from the lower deck to the upper deck. Nothing big, just a piece of barbecue skewer that I cut into pieces and glued together. In the end, most of the rungs ended up falling out when I added the Mod Podge and the glue, so it really didn't matter, but it makes a really great broken down ladder that way. So now might be a good time to say, if you're enjoying the video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd smash that like button, maybe share with your friends. As always, I would love to have you as a new subscriber. I appreciate you supporting my channel. Make sure you stay until the end. I will be showing some of the final pictures from after it was painted. So stay tuned for that. Those are great pictures. I messed around with this ladder for way too dang long. Finally got something that I was okay with. We'll go ahead and we'll glue it up. I was ready to get on to the strips that went around the deck. Yeah, we're ready to move on. Now I'm on to the railing, which is maybe the final big piece, the last thing that's going to, bring this whole thing together. It's just going to cover up a lot of the blemishes, a lot of the little things, the extra bits of plastic showing and things like that. So the transformation that happens with the railing is pretty awesome. I think one of my favorite parts about working with this caulk is that, even after it's dried, it's still kind of springy, has a little bit of give, you could stretch, or you can still pull it out and intentionally rip areas. It was really just great to work with. It really just covered up everything. It flowed into the cracks where I needed it to. I was able to bend it and mold it in ways that I can't do with the foam board. And like I said, it was just really fun to do this project. This stuff was super easy to work with. Once I get through cutting all of the railing pieces and getting them glued on, I'm going to go back through, and all of these nice pristine cuts that I made, I'm going to use my clippers to go back through and to kind of clip out pieces and gouge out pieces so that it looks like raggedy wood ends instead of a nicely cut sawed board. At this point, I was starting to get really excited with the railing on and covering up all the plastic and everything and the big gaps. It was starting to really look good. I was just super impressed with how this was coming out, how quickly this was coming together. I wanted to add another little cool element to the front, so I created a frame, and I'm going to add a little bit of wire mesh to the inside of it so that I can create a portal that will allow people access to the decks below. I think I'm just going to go ahead and shut up and let you just enjoy the rest of the build, and don't forget, there's some really nice photos at the end of this build video of the final product after the paint job and everything was done. Again, I think it looks great. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and we'll look forward to seeing you for the next video.